The endless void of space stretched before the Helios as it cut through the darkness, its hull gleaming under distant starlight. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's main viewport, her dark eyes fixed on the unusual energy readings that had drawn humanity's most advanced explorer to this remote sector of space. 20 years of deep space exploration had taught her to trust her instincts, and something about these readings felt different. "Status report," she called out, maintaining her calm demeanor despite the growing tension in her gut. "All systems nominal, Commander," Lieutenant Marcus Rivera responded from his engineering station. "The quantum sensors are operating at peak efficiency, though these readings continue to defy our standard analysis protocols." The Helios represented the pinnacle of human achievement, a testament to their rapid advancement since achieving faster-than-light travel just 30 years ago. Its revolutionary organic computing core and adaptive hull materials had made it possible to explore deeper into space than any human vessel before. But now, those same advanced systems were struggling to make sense of what lay ahead. Dr. Emily Wong, the ship's lead scientist, looked up from her holographic display. "Commander, these energy patterns, they're not natural. They show signs of intelligent design, but they operate on principles that completely contradict our understanding of physics." Before Chen could respond, the ship's sensors erupted in a cascade of warnings. The space before them seemed to fold in on itself, reality twisting as massive vessels emerged from what appeared to be tears in the fabric of space itself. Their ships defied conventional design. Geometric impossibilities that seemed to exist in more dimensions than human eyes could process. "Multiple vessels detected," Rivera shouted, his hands flying across his console. "Configuration unknown. They're not even registering as solid matter on our scans." Chen straightened her uniform, years of training kicking in. "Open all communication channels. This is exactly the kind of first contact scenario we've trained for." "Commander," Dr. Wong interrupted, her voice tight with concern. "These ships, their very existence violates several laws of physics. Whoever built them operates on a level of science we can't even begin to comprehend." The bridge crew watched as the alien vessels surrounded the Helios, their impossible geometries casting shadows that shouldn't exist. Chen opened her mouth to broadcast a greeting, but before she could speak, a sensation like ice water flooding through her mind stopped her cold. "Humanity, you have been evaluated." The words appeared directly in their thoughts, accompanied by a sense of clinical detachment that made Chen's skin crawl. The voice continued, emotionless and precise. "Your species relies on inefficient biological processes. Your technology is crude, based on flawed organic principles. You are a statistical anomaly that must be corrected. We come in peace." Chen projected her thoughts clearly, drawing on her first contact training. "We seek only to learn and understand. Your desire to understand is precisely the problem. Your species incorporates random elements into your technological development. You rely on what you call intuition and creativity. These are evolutionary dead ends that threaten the proper development of this galaxy." The alien vessels, the Meridians, as they identified themselves in another cold burst of thought, began to emit waves of energy that the Helios' sensors couldn't even classify. Where these waves touched the ship's hull, matter simply changed. Advanced alloys reverted to base elements. Quantum circuits collapsed into random particles. "They're not attacking us," Dr. Wong realized, horror dawning on her face as she read the sensor data. "They're editing us out of existence, like a correction in a mathematical equation." Chen watched as sections of her ship began to dissolve, the pride of human engineering being undone by forces that operated on principles they couldn't even comprehend. But as she observed the methodical destruction, something caught her attention. A pattern in the seemingly random way the Meridians were taking apart their ship. "Emily, Marcus, are you seeing this?" she asked, her mind racing. "They're not just destroying the ship, they're studying it, learning how we think by seeing how we build." Dr. Wong nodded, her fingers flying across her console as she recorded as much data as possible. They're so focused on efficiency that they can't help but be thorough. They're giving us a master class in their own technology, even as they try to erase ours. All hands, abandon ship, Chen ordered, her voice steady despite the circumstances. But first, download everything. Every scan, every reading, every bit of data about how they're taking us apart. If they want to teach us a lesson about human inefficiency, let's make sure we learn it perfectly. The Helios's crew executed their evacuation with practiced precision, even as their ship crumbled around them. Escape pods launched into the void, carrying not just survivors, but terabytes of precious data about the technology that was destroying them. Your resistance is illogical, the Meridian consciousness echoed in their minds. Accept your evolutionary position. Chen allowed herself a small smile as she prepared to leave the bridge. You know what's really illogical? She fought back at them, giving your victims a detailed demonstration of your superior technology. We may be inefficient, but we're very, very good at learning from our mistakes. As her escape pod blasted away from the dying Helios, Chen watched the Meridian ships continue their methodical destruction. They were so perfect, so precise in their actions, and in that perfection lay their weakness. They couldn't conceive of the possibility that their own efficiency might be used against them. The pods carrying the Helios crew disappeared into FTL travel, racing back toward Earth with their precious cargo of data and experience. The Meridians had meant to demonstrate humanity's weakness, but they had instead given them a blueprint for revolution. Humanity would study every detail of how their ship had been taken apart, and in understanding that process, they would learn to build something even better. The age of human inefficiency was about to show the galaxy what real innovation looked like. 3 months after the Helios incident, the massive underground complex of the Global Defense Initiative buzzed with activity. Dr. Emily Wong stood before a holographic display of the Meridian energy patterns, dark circles under her eyes betraying countless sleepless nights. But there was a fierce determination in her gaze as she manipulated the complex data streams with practiced gestures. They thought they were showing us our weakness, she murmured, addressing Commander Chen, who stood nearby reviewing simulation results. Instead, they revealed their own. Look at this. She expanded a particular section of the display, showing how the Meridian technology interfaced with normal spacetime. The command center was a testament to humanity's response to the Meridian threat. Traditional national rivalries had been set aside as the world's best minds came together. The data recovered from the Helios incident had become their most valuable resource, studied and analyzed from every possible angle. Their technology is perfect, Emily continued, mathematically precise in every way. But that's exactly the problem. They've optimized themselves into a corner. They can't adapt because they've eliminated every trace of randomness from their systems. Commander Chen nodded, remembering how methodically the Meridians had dismantled the Helios. And you think we can use that against them? Better. Emily's eyes lit up with excitement. We can use it to surpass them. Lieutenant Rivera, show them what we found in the quantum analysis. Marcus Rivera, who had survived the Helios incident alongside them, brought up another display. The Meridians use what we're calling rigid quantum fields, perfectly ordered patterns in spacetime. They're incredibly powerful, but they can only operate in exactly the way they're designed to. He gestured, and the display shifted to show readings from human brain patterns. But look at how our minds work. Our quantum patterns are chaotic, constantly shifting. We thought this was a weakness, but it's actually our greatest strength. Our inefficient biological processes can adapt and evolve in ways their rigid systems never could. Dr. Kendra Patel, the project's lead engineer, stepped forward. She had been recruited from India's quantum computing program immediately after the Helios incident. We've already begun incorporating these principles into our new ship designs. Instead of fighting our biological nature, we're embracing it. She brought up the schematics for their new prototype. Unlike traditional spacecraft designs, this vessel seemed to flow like liquid metal, its form organic and adaptable. We're calling it the Aurora class. The hull is composed of programmable matter infused with quantum-sensitive bioneural networks. It doesn't just respond to crew commands. It responds to their intentions, their intuitions. The Meridians see our emotions as noise in the system, Emily added. But we found a way to use that noise as a quantum computing resource. The more stress you put on the system, the more creative it becomes in finding solutions. Commander Chen studied the designs with intense interest. How close are we to a working prototype? That's the real breakthrough, Kendra said, unable to hide her excitement. We're not building just one ship. The same principles that make the Aurora adaptive also make it self-replicating. In a controlled way, of course. Once we perfect the initial design, we can grow a fleet. Grow a fleet? Chen raised an eyebrow. You're telling me these ships will be alive? In a way. Marcus stepped in. Think of it more like a symbiosis. The ship's quantum fields synchronize with the crew's brain patterns, creating a hybrid consciousness. The more time crew members spend with their ship, the stronger the connection becomes. Emily pulled up footage from their latest tests. Watch this, she said, showing a simulation of an Aurora-class vessel under attack. As enemy fire approached, the ship's hull didn't just absorb the impact. It learned from it, restructuring itself to better handle similar attacks in the future. The Meridians tried to teach us our place in the universe, Chen said, watching the simulation with a growing smile. But they forgot something fundamental about human nature. We don't accept limitations. We transcend them. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the complex. Dr. Patel rushed to a nearby console. We're detecting quantum disturbances in orbit. The pattern matches Meridian signatures. They're back, Chen said grimly. Probably to check if we learned our lesson about staying in our corner of the galaxy. But instead of fear, the room was filled with an electric tension. Anticipation rather than dread. They had spent 3 months preparing for this moment, turning their supposed weaknesses into advantages the Meridians couldn't even comprehend. How long until the first Aurora prototype is ready? Chen asked. The growth tanks are at 89% completion, Kendra reported. We need another week to ensure stable quantum integration. The Meridians gave us 3 months to contemplate our evolutionary position, Chen said, her voice hard with determination. I think it's time we showed them some evolution of our own. Begin emergency acceleration protocols for the prototype. If they want to see how humanity develops under pressure, let's give them a demonstration. As the complex erupted into focused activity, Emily caught Chen's eye. You know, for a species that prides itself on perfect prediction, the Meridians made a serious miscalculation. They assumed showing us their power would make us submit. Chen nodded, watching as the first images of Meridian ships entering orbit appeared on their screens. Instead, they gave us exactly what we needed. A challenge worthy of humanity's greatest trait, which is our absolute refusal to accept anyone else's limitations on our potential. Above them, the Meridian ships moved into position, their perfect geometries preparing to pass judgment on humanity's evolution. They had no way of knowing that humanity had spent the last 3 months not in fear, but in preparation. The greatest test of human ingenuity was about to begin, and for the first time since the Helios incident, humanity was ready to demonstrate just how inefficient they could be. The Aurora prototype hung suspended in its massive growth chamber, its silver-black hull rippling like liquid metal under the harsh laboratory lights. Commander Chen watched through the reinforced observation window as final preparations were made for emergency launch. Above them, Meridian ships had taken up orbital positions around Earth, their presence a looming threat that humanity could no longer ignore. Neural interface systems are online, Marcus reported from his station, his voice tense but controlled. Quantum field generators are stable and responding to initialization protocols. Dr. Patel's team worked frantically to complete the emergency activation sequence. The ship wasn't fully mature. They'd needed at least another week to complete all safety protocols. But time had run out. Through the quantum communications array they'd developed, They could hear the Meridian's message being broadcast worldwide. Your species has been granted sufficient time for acceptance. Submit to evolutionary guidance or face extinction. Emily stood at the main control panel, her fingers dancing across holographic displays as she monitored the Aurora's developing consciousness. The ship's neural networks are integrating faster than expected, she announced. It's like it senses the threat. It's adapting to meet the challenge. That's exactly what it's doing, Kendra confirmed, studying her own readings. The quantum fields are resonating with our collective emotional state. Fear, determination, resolve. The ship is learning from all of it. Commander Chen stepped onto the neural interface platform. As the designated first captain of the Aurora, she would need to establish the initial quantum sync with the vessel's consciousness. The platform hummed to life around her, bioneural interfaces extending to connect with her flight suit. "Are you sure about this?" Emily asked, concern evident in her voice. "We haven't tested a full neural sync yet. The mental load could be." "We're out of options," Chen replied, her voice steady. "The Meridians are here to either enslave or destroy us. I'm not accepting either outcome." The neural sync began, and Chen gasped as her mind connected with the Aurora. It was nothing like the conventional ship interfaces she used before. The Aurora wasn't just responding to her commands. It was sharing her thoughts, her instincts, her very consciousness. "Neural sync at 15% and climbing," Marcus called out. "Ship's quantum fields are stabilizing." "Wait, something's happening." The Aurora's hull began to pulse with internal light, patterns of energy flowing through its structure like blood through veins. The quantum field generators spun up to full power, but instead of the careful sequence they'd planned, the ship seemed to be orchestrating its own awakening. "It's incredible," Emily breathed, watching the readings. The ship isn't just accepting the neural sync, it's actively participating in it. The quantum fields are reorganizing themselves to match the commander's neural patterns. Chen closed her eyes, experiencing the transformation from within. She could feel the Aurora's systems integrating with her consciousness, but it wasn't the cold, mechanical interface she'd expected. Instead, it felt organic, alive, a partnership rather than a mere connection. Neural sync at 45%, 60%, 75%. Marcus's voice seemed to come from far away as Chen's awareness expanded to encompass the entire ship. She could feel every system, every quantum circuit, every molecule of the programmable hull. The Aurora wasn't just a vessel, it was becoming an extension of her own body. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the complex. Meridian ships are powering up their reality editing fields, Kendra shouted. They're preparing to fire. Neural sync at 89%, 92%. Marcus continued his countdown as tension mounted in the chamber. Through her expanded consciousness, Chen could sense the Meridian ships above, their rigid, perfect patterns, an offense against the creative chaos of human thought. But now she could also see the flaws in their perfection, the limitations of their unchanging nature. "They call us inefficient," she said, her voice resonating with new harmonics as the Aurora's systems synchronized with her speech. "They see our emotions as noise, our adaptability as weakness. It's time to show them just how wrong they are." Neural sync complete, Marcus announced as the final connections fell into place. Ship's consciousness fully integrated with Commander Chen's neural patterns. The Aurora's hull flared with brilliant light as it absorbed power from its quantum generators. The growth chamber's massive doors began to open, revealing the night sky above, and the Meridian ships waiting in orbit. "All systems are ready," Emily reported, her voice tight with anticipation. "But, Commander, we still don't know if our theories about quantum field manipulation will work against their technology." Through her connection with the Aurora, Chen smiled. "That's exactly why we're going to win. We don't need to know if it will work. We'll adapt until it does. That's what humans do best." The Aurora rose from its chamber, its hull shifting and flowing like liquid starlight. As it ascended toward the Meridian fleet, Its form continued to evolve, each moment bringing new adaptations, new possibilities. Humanity's answer to the Meridian threat wasn't just a ship. It was a declaration of their right to grow, to change, to define their own destiny. Your resistance is futile. The Meridian Consciousness broadcast. Your technological approach is fundamentally flawed. No, Chen responded through the Aurora's quantum communications. Our technology isn't flawed. It's alive. And life always finds a way to evolve. As the Aurora rose to meet its first challenge, everyone in the control chamber held their breath. The greatest test of human ingenuity was about to begin, and its outcome would determine not just the fate of one ship, but the future of human evolution itself. The Aurora streaked through Earth's atmosphere, its liquid metal hull adapting moment by moment to the stresses of ascent. Through her neural link, Commander Chen felt every adjustment, every optimization as the ship's consciousness worked in perfect harmony with her own. Behind her, Earth's cities glittered like scattered diamonds. Above, the geometrically perfect forms of the Meridian ships waited in high orbit. Multiple targeting locks detected, Marcus reported through the quantum comlink. They're using the same reality editing fields that destroyed the Helios. Chen didn't need the warning. She could feel the hostile scans washing over the Aurora's hull. But unlike the Helios, this ship wasn't trying to resist the Meridian technology. Instead, it was learning from it, its quantum fields shifting to match and counter each probe. Your attempt at advancement is flawed. The Meridian Consciousness broadcast. Your biological components introduce unnecessary variables. Submit to correction. The first attack came as a ripple in spacetime, a wave of force designed to unravel matter at the quantum level. But as it approached the Aurora, something unprecedented happened. The ship's hull didn't just resist the attack. It absorbed it, its programmable matter incorporating the energy pattern into its own structure. That's impossible. Emily's voice came through the comm, filled with wonder as she monitored from the ground. They're trying to edit us out of reality, but the ship is. It's learning their language. It's turning their own physics against them. Chen felt the transformation through her neural link. Each Meridian attack provided new data, new patterns that the Aurora's adaptive systems could analyze and repurpose. The ship wasn't just defending. It was evolving with every passing second. The Meridian ships launched another assault, their perfect formations creating geometric patterns of destructive energy. But this time, Chen was ready. She didn't need to issue verbal commands or input coordinates. Her intention flowed directly through the neural link, and the Aurora responded instantly. The ship's hull rippled and split, forming impossible geometries of its own. But unlike the rigid patterns of Meridian technology, these shapes flowed and changed, organic complexity meeting mathematical perfection. Where Meridian energy touched the Aurora's quantum fields, it was absorbed, transformed, and redirected. This is not possible. The Meridian broadcast carried a new tone, something almost like confusion. Your patterns are chaotic, inefficient. They cannot match our precision. You still don't understand, Chen responded, her voice carrying through quantum space as the Aurora danced between Meridian attack patterns. We're not trying to match your precision. We're transcending it. The Aurora's counterattack was unlike anything ever seen in space combat. Instead of traditional weapons, it used the Meridian's own reality editing fields, but filtered through the lens of human consciousness. Where Meridian technology sought to impose perfect order, the Aurora created controlled chaos, introducing variables that their rigid systems couldn't predict or counter. The ship's neural network is operating at 300% of projected capacity, Kendra reported from Earth. The quantum fields are integrating Meridian attack patterns and creating hybrid configurations we never even theorized. Chen felt it all through the neural link, every adaptation, every innovation as the Aurora's consciousness worked in concert with her own. The ship wasn't just a weapon or a tool. It was a partnership between human intuition and technological evolution. One of the Meridian ships moved to flank the Aurora, its perfect geometry preparing to unleash another reality editing wave. But before it could attack, the aurora's hull fractalized into impossible patterns, each fragment reflecting and refracting quantum energy in ways that even Chen's enhanced consciousness could barely track. The Meridian ship's attack backfired spectacularly. Its own reality editing field was caught in a loop of ever-changing reflections, its rigid patterns unable to adapt to the constant variations. The perfect geometry of its hull began to waver, its own technology turned against it by the aurora's adaptive systems. This is not evolution, the Meridian consciousness protested as their formations began to break. This is chaos. This is both, Chen replied, feeling the aurora's systems surge with new understanding. Evolution is chaos with purpose. Life isn't about achieving perfection, it's about endless adaptation. The battle reached its crescendo as the aurora unleashed everything it had learned. Its hull became a symphony of motion, each change presenting a new puzzle that the Meridian's perfect systems couldn't solve. Their reality editing fields, designed to impose order, found themselves overwhelmed by controlled disorder. Multiple Meridian ships are retreating, Marcus announced, his voice thick with disbelief. Their quantum signatures are destabilizing. They can't maintain their rigid patterns in the face of our adaptive fields. Through the neural link, Chen felt the aurora's satisfaction, not just at winning the battle, but at proving a point. Humanity hadn't just created a ship that could fight the Meridians. They'd created one that could show them a new way of existing. As the Meridian fleet withdrew, their perfect formations shattered. Chen broadcast one final message. You came to correct what you saw as our evolutionary flaws. Instead, you've witnessed true evolution in action. The question is, are you capable of learning from it? The aurora hung in high orbit, its hull still shifting with newfound patterns and possibilities. On Earth below, in the control center, humans cheered and embraced. But through her neural link, Chen felt something even more significant. The first ripples of a change that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of what evolution truly meant. 1 year after the aurora's historic battle, the orbital shipyards above Earth hummed with activity. Commander Chen stood at the observation deck of the new Global Defense Command Station, watching as dozens of Aurora-class vessels moved through their growth cycles. Each ship was unique, its quantum patterns shaped by the neural signatures of its future crew. The Meridians called us inefficient, Emily said, joining Chen at the viewport. Now half the galaxy is trying to learn our inefficient methods. She wasn't exaggerating. The aurora's victory had sent shockwaves through galactic civilization. The sight of humanity's adaptive technology defeating the Meridian's perfect systems had challenged centuries of assumed wisdom about technological development. How are the diplomatic talks progressing? Chen asked, though she already knew through the quantum network that connected all Aurora vessels and their crews. Better than anyone expected, Emily replied with a slight smile. Turns out we weren't the only species the Meridians tried to correct, but we were the first to show that there was another way. Through the viewport, they watched as the newest Aurora vessel completed its emergence. Unlike the rigid uniformity of Meridian ships, each Aurora was visibly distinct, its form influenced by the unique neural patterns of its crew and its own developing consciousness. The Centauri Alliance has already adopted some of our bioneural interfaces, Marcus added, walking up with his tablet displaying the latest reports. Even the Meridians have sent observers, though they insist it's just to study our evolutionary aberration. Chen smiled at that. The Meridians hadn't launched another attack after their defeat, but they hadn't simply retreated either. Instead, they'd been forced to confront something their perfect systems had never predicted, a form of advancement that embraced chaos rather than eliminating it. Director Patel's presentation to the Galactic Science Council is trending across all networks, Emily noted, bringing up a holographic display of various alien news feeds. Her explanation of how we turned quantum uncertainty from a bug into a feature has caused quite a stir. The display showed Kendra Patel, now the director of the Global Defense Initiative, explaining to a diverse alien audience how humanity had developed their revolutionary technology. The key wasn't fighting against our own nature, Kendra's recorded image explained. It was understanding that what others saw as our weaknesses, our emotions, our adaptability, our very unpredictability, were actually our greatest strengths. We didn't just build better ships, we created a new paradigm of human-machine cooperation. Chen touched her neural interface, feeling the familiar presence of the Aurora fleet's quantum network. Each ship was both individual and part of a greater whole, their shared experiences creating an ever-evolving database of knowledge and adaptation. The growth chambers are operating at full capacity, Marcus reported, but we can barely keep up with the demand. Every nation on Earth wants Aurora-class ships for their exploration fleets, and our alien allies are offering significant resources for joint development projects. And the Meridians? Chen asked, though she could guess the answer. Emily's smile widened. They've officially requested a technological exchange program to study our unique approach to quantum field manipulation. In other words, they're finally admitting they might have something to learn from us inefficient humans. Through the viewport, they watched as a fleet of Aurora vessels prepared for their first deep space exploration mission. Each ship's hull rippled with possibility, their quantum fields resonating with the excitement and determination of their crews. You know what the real irony is, Chen said, watching the ships move into formation. If the Meridians hadn't tried to stop our evolution, we might have taken centuries to develop this technology on our own. Their attempt to limit us ended up pushing us far beyond what anyone thought possible. That's humanity's greatest trait, Emily replied. We don't just overcome obstacles. We learn from them, grow from them, turn them into advantages. The Meridians saw our unpredictability as a flaw, but it's actually the source of our greatest innovations. As if to emphasize her point, one of the Aurora vessels suddenly shifted into a new configuration that none of them had seen before, its hull forming patterns that seemed to dance between dimensions. New quantum field configuration detected, Marcus reported, checking his readings. The ship's neural network just spontaneously developed a more efficient way to handle spatial distortion. It's already sharing the data with the fleet. Chen nodded, unsurprised. This was exactly what made the Aurora program so revolutionary. Each ship was constantly learning, adapting, sharing its discoveries with the entire network. They weren't just building a fleet, they were creating an evolving ecosystem of human and artificial intelligence. The Meridians wanted to correct what they saw as our evolutionary mistakes, she said, watching as the new configuration spread through the fleet, each ship adapting it in its own unique way. Instead, they helped us prove that evolution isn't about reaching perfection. It's about never stopping to grow, to change, to become something new. As the exploration fleet prepared to depart, their hulls shimmering with possibilities yet undiscovered, Chen felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Humanity had not just survived the Meridian threat. They had transcended it, turning an attempted correction into a revolution that would reshape the galaxy. The age of rigid perfection was over. The era of endless adaptation had begun.